Hi Riley, I've looked over your lesson plans and here's some feedback for you. In general, these are pretty well done. You did a good job at walking the students through the entire process. I think that the prompts that you chose are good. They're like nice and juicy enough for a student to get into, and to really pick a particular aspect of the play that might appeal at least a little more to them than something else. And I think that those prompts are one of the real strong points of your unit plan. Let me show you some other areas I liked and some areas that I'd like to see a few changes. All right. So, so for your established goals, you chose pretty good evidence outcomes for this particular writing one in regards to this one right here, introducing a precise claim and distinguishing that claim. Although I haven't really seen development of counterclaims, this doesn't seem like an argumentative essay. It's a literary analysis essay. And so I wonder if this would not be, A2 would maybe not be the best kind of evidence outcome for this unit. And you know what is entirely possible to happen. You chose these and you started writing your lesson plans. And then as your ideas and your lesson plans kind of morphed, you didn't go back and check the consistency from the lesson plan you wrote into the evidence outcome. That's my best guess, at least. But make sure that you're doing that and wrapping back around to that evidence outcome each time, because that would have popped out to you pretty quickly, I would think. Okay, so your essential questions for the global and the content area are nicely done, although I didn't see these essential questions for the content area pulled into your lesson plans. I do see you addressing, Shakespeare's longevity and relevance, which you put in the essential questions global, but talking to the students about how their ability to write well-structured, well-thought-through arguments, or in this case, literary analysis, as being a powerful tool for them. I didn't really see that content area question pulled into your lesson plans, okay? Your students will be able to, and your students will understand, are nicely aligned. I like the fact that this really demonstrates to me that they'll be thinking about and they'll be demonstrating their knowledge, or they'll be showing that they're thinking about the same pieces from from two different angles. And so I think that those are nicely aligned and well done. All right. Clear formative assessments and clear summative. I think those are good. Okay. So here you're really addressing that global content question, which is a nice way to start, although I have to crack up just a little bit because the students that you've imagined in here are so very positive about reading Shakespeare, and I wonder if that'll be the case. But you also know my bias that I was never really great at teaching that. Hold on, I'm talking to Riley. Sorry, Harper's wandering around. Okay. You have the prompts on the overhead for them, and I scrolled down below and looked at those, and I really like that. And then you say you're going to analyze the play and try to answer those prompts, relating them back to the text. And you're going to read over the prompts with the students, and I think that's good, so that there's a little bit of an opportunity to for them to read, hear a little bit of discussion about it, think about it, so that way it's fair for you. So I think that it's valuable that that students will be able to read these, hear a little bit of conversation about them, talk about them, so that it's fair for you to ask by the end of class, to make some kind of a commitment to write about them. One thing that I thought might two things that I thought. One of them was just an arrangement of timing thing. So you're doing a modeling here, guiding them through the prompt and then having them come up with various responses so that they see what you want them to do. Once you hand that paper with all of those prompts out to the students, some of them are going to be so busy, reading the prompts and thinking, oh, which one's going to be the least brain damage for me, that they're not going to listen to your model. So you might model for them first. If I was going to choose a prompt that looked like this, how would I come up with ideas, blah, 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 blah. Then hand out the paper with the prompts on it and say, just like I did, in thinking about this prompt and thinking about various responses, I'm going to ask you you to do the same thing. So just a little tweak in the timing, delivery of things, I think that might really help you out. Also, the one other idea I had for you here is that you have them, choosing a prompt and giving 3 to 5 textual support ideas for that. You might want to push them a little harder and ask them to think about 2 prompts that might be interesting to them and come up with 3 to 5 pieces of support for those. That way, as you're reading these, I think as you indicated over the weekend, that you can identify for students what you think is the stronger of the 2 and make a recommendation for them. So still giving them individual choice, but really helping yourself, helping them, to choose the stronger of the 2. Okay. So I like your exit ticket idea. I think I would just recommend, two ideas in there. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at your second lesson plan. Okay. Thank you. So this one here, using words, phrases, and clauses to link the major sections of the text, create cohesion and clarify relationships between claims and reasons. I struggled a little bit to see the relevance of this evidence outcome in this particular lesson plan. I think, like, if I pulled way back to a 60,000 foot view, I could see it. Oh, no, thank you. I can see it because, you're asking them to draft, which is indeed, linking major ideas in their paper into each other and creating a draft. But I wonder, so here's my hesitation at this moment. I want you to feel really comfortable sifting through and understanding these evidence outcomes. And so, when it comes to like revising this and doing final drafts in your portfolio, I want you to just kind of star this area and see if there isn't something that you feel like fits it a little bit better. Okay. Again, your students will understand, your students will be able to, as well aligned, nicely done. I like that, okay? And that they're going to draft their initial essay here, okay? And so that's a very clear, formative assessment. Okay, so you have them drafting in this particular lesson plan, and, I like that you have this piece in here, this primary resource document that shows that even Shakespeare didn't do it right the first time, that he had stops and starts and he, changed things. And so I think that's really nicely done on your part. That's a powerful piece to bring into your students. Here's the modeling piece right here, tripped me up just a little bit. So you hand out the rubric that their essays are going to be graded with. And then, you talk about how it's a fairly inclusive rubric. And then you say that it's something that they should refer to every once in a while during your writing process. I would spend a lot more time on the rubric if I were you, because the rubric, what rubrics do, it's not just a tool for you to assess, but it's something that guides, that is intended to guide the students so that they understand, here's where I'm at right now. I've got this prompt, I've got some ideas to support it. Okay, where do I need to end up? I need to end up with, and then they, talk about these pieces in the rubric. And so you need to break that rubric down and do some more either conversations with it or having the students manipulate it into, their own language or something kind of like that, so that they are thinking about it, that they're grabbing those ideas, that they're making those ideas own, so that they can begin to see what that path looks like between where they sit right now and where they need to be with their writing, in 3 days or at the end of the unit or whatever it is. Okay, so take some time for that, and then in these verbal checks for understanding, instead of saying, does everyone understand what we're trying to accomplish for today, what you could do is have them meet with partners or something and say, okay, can someone demonstrate for me or give me in informal terms or layman terms or whatever, what, a number 4 would look like in the introduction section or in the this section or in the that section. So that way the students are saying back to you in their own ideas what it is that you're looking for, okay? Then you can have something in here that says, okay, so our goal today is to do what? Write our first drafts. Excellent, okay? I like this guided practice that you have right here, that you have the students looking at fairly straightforward sentence here, and then how they can elaborate on those concepts. I think that piece is really well done. Okay, let's look at your third lesson plan. Okay, and in this one, I think your evidence outcome is well chosen for this, establishing, maintaining a formal style and an objective tone, okay? But you want to make sure that if that's the evidence outcome you're going to put in here, you should be using those words, style and tone, in your particular lesson plan, okay? So I think, again, choosing those evidence outcomes, maybe by the end of the semester you'll just feel a little bit more comfortable with them, but always kind of wrapping back around at the end of the lesson plan and checking back in with that established goal and making sure that that's the best kind of a fit, okay? But your students will understand and your students will be able to, are nicely aligned with each other. And I, again, really like your formative and summative assessments in here. That they're going to turn in a copy of their revisions to you so that you can see evidence of their progress, or unfortunately lack thereof sometimes, right? We looked at this hook in class. I think it's very clever. I really like it. I think the students will be able to relate to it well, okay? I want to see a bit more depth and some more concepts worked into your direct instruction here. You say that you're going to be focusing on the final steps of the writing process, and here, where is it? Right here, Shakespeare revised, you need to revise. Okay, here we go. You have this. Juliet was immature and too impulsive with Romeo, and here's your question. How could I revise it to make it a stronger sentence? Here's what I want you to think about. 1, what was your criteria for that sentence being weak in the first place? 2, what's your criteria for making it stronger, okay? When you very clearly lay out those criteria for your students, then you can expect your students to do that with their own writing. They're not going to know why this sentence was weak in the first place. And so, how are they going to offer suggestions for making it stronger? Unfortunately, what you'd end up with some things, really vague comments. You could use bigger words and you could add more information. It'll just be really vague and it'll end up not helping the kids too terribly much. So I want to see you expand your direct instruction and your modeling right here to establish some criteria for sentences that need strengthening, expansion, things like that, okay? You've got MLA in there, and here, the revision process, you haven't really checked in with them and reminded them that they need to be looking at their rubric, okay? So make sure that you do that. Okay, you've got your hook for day 2, coming back to that idea where you're, stretching. And then you have your students. You use the word revision right here, but then you have them looking for spelling mistakes and conventions. Don't forget, we separated that out. That's not revision. That's actually editing. You say to them to look for spelling and conventions, and then you say be aware of your fluency and clarity, and then you set them loose to work. That's not going to get them anywhere. Give them some specific instruction on how to understand fluency, what's some criteria for clarity, pieces like that, okay, so that they can... Yes, dear. So that they can have something really clear cut that they will be working towards. Yes. She's tired of hearing my voice grade. She's telling me I need to be quiet now. And so I really want to see an expansion and some very clear direct instruction in regards to fluency and clarity in this third one. Okay? Thanks, Riley.